Right. That is your weather at this hour, 28th of January, Tuesday. It is indeed. Let's get to our press review. We begin with the Kenya's bold newspaper, The Standard. And today's headline is Khan, how U.S. envoy plotted to fix Ruto. That is Karim Khan, who's William Ruto's lead counsel on his trial over at The Hague. And so the defense lawyer claims Ranneberger helped in recruiting witnesses to give evidence against Deputy President. A defense lawyer at the International Criminal Court yesterday implicated a former U.S. envoy to Kenya in an alleged plot to fix the Deputy President in the ongoing trial in The Hague. Ruto's lead counsel, Karim Khan, told the court that former American ambassador to Kenya, Michael Ranneberger, tried to recruit people to give evidence with the intention of fixing Ruto. And the headline picture in The Standard is thousands flee South Sudan for Kakuma. Refugees from South Sudan being registered by the UNHCR at the Nadapal along the Kenya-Sudan border before being allowed entry yesterday. The MSF said they receive over 1,000 refugees daily who are subjected to medical screening as a precaution. 7 suspected cases of measles have been referred to the local hospital for treatment. And details of that story are on page 22 of The Standard. Also on the front page today, several faces for you there, and revealed who is who in ODM election lineup. So names of heavyweights to contest various party leadership positions in next month's poll become clear as deadline for submissions of applications lapses. So party leader positions, those vying, we have Raila Odinga, Simba Arati and David S. Langat. For deputy party leader, those listed here is Ali Hassan Joho and Wycliffe Oparanya. And the chairman position attracting 4 candidates, Manson Nyamweya, Paul Otuoma, Josephat Nanok, and Mpuru Aburi. Just some of those listed for those polls that will be taking place next month. And indeed, you can read more about the ODM elections on page 2 of The Standard, who is who in the final ODM polls lineup. And of course, one of those important positions that generated a lot of conversations and debate was that of Secretary General, with some holding the position that should get a candidate, should get a person elected from the Luo Nyanza, as has been in the past, while others have argued it should not be the case. So read more about the politics in the Orange House and how the election is shaping up. Page 3 today in The Standard, governors defy summons from Senate for the second time. Remember, the governors were to appear before the Senate Committee on Finance. The first time around, they did not appear. And it appears that second time also failing to appear. So senators and governors are headed for yet another supremacy battle after the county bosses defied invitation to appear before the Senate committee over alleged mismanagement of funds. So Senate's Finance Committee has now threatened to issue sermons over the damning report released last week by the Control of Budget, Agnes Odhiambo. Also on that page, I suffer from, quote, a genius only, end of quote, type of disease. That is what Dr. Toromo tells vetting panel that his condition affects those with above normal IQ. So a nominee for the position of the chief officer in Baringo County shocked the county parliamentary vetting panel when he told them he suffers from a disease that affects or afflicts only genius people. Read more about that condition. ESA may lose 4.3 billion shillings for pulling out of oil deal. Why is that? The details are on page 3 for you, as well as URP leaders accuse CORD of discrediting Ruto. On page 4, you'll find the story on state in plans to form Marine Guard. That is what is said to be underway, and the Guard will patrol the Kenya's territorial waters and also will serve to safeguard marine interests in its exclusive economic zone. So the government has announced plans to establish Kenya's first ever Coast Guard to supplement the Kenya Navy, and the Guard will patrol Kenya's territorial waters and, as I mentioned there, safeguard marine interests in its exclusive economic zone as well. And on page 5, those details of U.S. ex-envoy who tried to fix Ruto, as was alleged yesterday by Karim Khan, that is Ruto's lead counsel. On page 6 is a story on reports that says that larynx cancer rate highest in central and eastern, the eastern and central parts of Kenya. So the researchers link about 2/3 of patients studied to heavy use of tobacco or alcohol, or even both, for the rise of that cancer and the high numbers in those two parts of the country. On page 7, man 93 still waiting for 1979 case. So we have here Kunyu Thogo demands the court takes his evidence and expedite the case as he is now very old. So he's one of the oldest cases in the judiciary that was filed by a 93-year-old man, and which has been pending in court since 1979, came up before a High Court judge in Nairobi yesterday. And this just goes to highlight the backlog that continues to be witnessed in the judiciary. And of course, just one of those key areas that in the judicial reforms that are said to be ongoing, one of the issues but that must be looked into. 1979, how many of you were born by then? Not too many, yeah, but some probably were. Insecurity is covered on page 8, and the story here is Al-Shabaab leader killed in U.S. missile attack. So Pentagon says strike targeted the man who is a senior leader in Somalia-based terror group. Security has been tightened in the country following reports the U.S. military carried out a missile strike in Somalia against a suspected militant leader with ties to Al-Qaeda and Al-Shabaab. And more stories here on insecurity. And on the next page is terror suspect arrested after police raid. That's on page 9 for you, as police probe rights group employee over terrorism as well. So matters and security covered there, 8 and 9. Page 8 and 9. Fever pitch, sports stories. Pressure mounts on coach True is on the back page of the Standard today. Kenya Sevens team eyes rebound in New Zealand. Things did not work out so well in Las Vegas, but hey, New Zealand is coming up, so there is another opportunity to shine there. And Kenya Sevens team will want to forget their performance in the Las Vegas leg of the IRB World Series as they head to Wellington in New Zealand for the 5th stop in the 9-round circuit. Also in the sports pages in Fever Pitch, FA Cup draw brings top 4 together as EPL resumes. That's on page 50. And on page 46, Miami Heat raise San Antonio Spurs in repeat of last year's NBA finals. And of course, we have the extra pullout for you inside the Standard. Let me just grab mine. And today's headline inside Extra: breaking barriers. Yes, the Nigerian author establishes her authority with exciting works. Details on page 2 to 4. Find out how that is happening, and beautiful books there as well. What next for essay is the extra pullout that's on your screen, but the one that I have here is actually the wrong one. I realize, I beg your pardon. The one on your screen is the correct one with the headline. So let's put it back on screen and you'll get to see some of those stories covered for you in the extra pullout today. We'll be able to have a look at that later on. Let's move on to the Daily Nation. And county leaders ban millions in joy travels, and regional representatives criticized for spending too much time and money on trips instead of passing laws. MCAs say they have used the experiences to learn the best practices in agriculture and other key areas. So full report on that headline story, page 4 and 5 of the Daily Nation, all about accountability. Devolved governments pay steep price for foreign trips as well. And remember, we're asking you that question based on what Joe Mutambu, MP Mwingi North, is proposing. Do you think the number of counties need to be reduced from 47 to 14? Also on the front page of the Daily Nation today is teachers fight rule on using local language in classrooms. So teachers yesterday opposed a new policy by the Ministry of Education requiring them to teach pupils in lower primary school using indigenous languages. They said the policy was not only difficult to implement, but also retrogressive. So NAT officials asked the Ministry of Education to suspend the policy and consult teachers before implementing the same. When will Kenyans have enough food is a question that is posed on the DN2 pullout inside the nation, highlighted on the front page. Thousands staring at death in Turkana as famine strikes again. Right, let's get into the pages. On page 3 of the Daily Nation, soldier with gun in one hand and razor in the other is a feature story here. And Mwenda's work has helped KDF soldiers maintain neat hair and beard as they battle Al-Shabaab in Somalia. So find out more about this soldier who doubles up, helping the other ones look all good in the battlefield. Regional leaders ban millions of tax shillings on foreign trips abroad. Foreign trips, of course, that is abroad. Read more about that there. And U.S. envoy solicited witnesses for The Hague. That story that we talked about earlier is on page 6 in the Daily Nation today. Cover-up claim in mall attack trial, page 8, and the alleged killing of one of the Westgate mall attackers sparked a heated argument in court yesterday during the trial of 4 people. A senior police officer who claimed a terrorist was shot dead in his presence was hard-pressed to explain his contradictory statements and was accused of betraying his colleagues to cover up for atrocities committed by the Kenya Defense Forces during the siege. Read more there. And another story here on page 9 is directors accused of using building agency as a cash cow. Back page of the Daily Nation, MPs frustrating railway probe, and the MPs have been accused of frustrating their investigations into the awarding of the multi-billion shilling railway project tender. The National Assembly's Public Investments Committee asked lawmakers with information on the award and the contract of the China Road and Bridge Corporation to give it to them instead of talking about it outside Parliament. To the Star newspaper, this Tuesday, headlined by USAID, paid for Ruto ICC fixes. That is what Karim Khan alleged yesterday, also making it to the headline story of the Star. MPs sitting on public petitions is another one covered for you. MPs are sitting on 16 petitions by members of the public, despite some having been introduced in the House 6 months ago. The Constitution and standing orders of Parliament give members of public the chance to request the House to consider any matter. Read more about that on page 6. And the headline picture, breathalyzer gets 100 in court for drunken driving. More than 100 Nairobi motorists were yesterday charged in court with driving under the influence of alcohol. Still trying to learn those lessons for majority of the Kenyans. Always good to have that designated driver when you're out partying, or you know you're going to have 1 or 2 for the roads. Kidero launches transport board is a story on page 2 of the Star today. And also on page 3, read more about the former envoy who asks EU not to begin on ICC. Also on that 3rd page of the Star newspaper, KWS to probe a rhino death at Nairobi Park as failure to sign charter haunts LSK candidates. So the failure by 2 Law Society of Kenya Council members to sign a common charter last year has come back to haunt them as they seek elective posts in the February 6th polls. So council members, this story says Faith Waigwa and Charles Kanjama did not sign the charter adopted on the June 10th last year, binding the members to uphold value of professionalism, accountability, integrity, transparency, and gender and equity as well. We will be talking to Charles Kanjama in a short while, so we will get to hear what he has to say in as far as that report there is concerned. Also on page 4, terrorist killed one of my officers. That is what Ombati told the court yesterday. And on page 5 in the Star today, TA, that's the Transitional Authority, as well as Kibwana, opposed bids to trim counties. Remember, we are seeking your views on that one. Do you think those numbers need to be reduced from 47 Well, the TA boss thinks not, and he opposed a bill whose enactment could result in the reduction of the number of counties from 47 to 9 or 10 or even 14, as some of those figures that have been given. They believe that the devolution as is should be given a chance to work out. And of course, other stories covered for you inside the Star newspaper this Tuesday. Let's cross to the People, and today the headline: and US recruited witnesses to fix Ruto. So the Hague trial, Deputy President Ruto's defense lawyer Khan there making this made the stunning claim at the International Criminal Court that Washington actively recruited witnesses against his client. ODM clashes intensify over Secretary General's seat. It is about the polls that are coming up next month. And the row between ODM Old Guard and Party Young Turks escalated yesterday, with two veteran politicians allied to former Prime Minister Odinga telling off their critics over the issue of reserving top seats for candidates in the Nyanza region. Also in the People, senators oppose new county taxes. Leaders threaten to mobilize youth against governors. Move to impose new levies or hiking existing ones. That's a story you'll find on page 10 and on page 46. There's a story there on diaspora cash cow and foreign remittances for 2013 hit 110 billion shillings, up from the 100 billion shillings in 2012.